In the moonlit solitude of the dense Appalachian forest, our group of friends embarked on what was supposed to be a thrilling vacation. The promise of a secluded cabin, surrounded by towering pines and an air thick with mystery, lured us into the heart of nature. Little did we know, our escape from the urban chaos would transform into a nightmare etched in the shadows of those ancient woods. The journey to the cabin was an adventure in itself. Narrow dirt roads twisted through the hills, and the only sounds that accompanied us were the rustle of leaves in the breeze and the distant hum of a nocturnal creature. We arrived at the cabin, a rustic structure that seemed to merge seamlessly with the towering trees. The air inside was heavy with the scent of aged wood, and the flickering candlelight cast dancing shadows across the walls. As night fell, our laughter echoed through the cabin as we gathered around a crackling fire. The warmth was deceptive, for beyond the illuminated circle of our camaraderie lurked an enveloping darkness that seemed to swallow every sound. We dismissed the uneasy feeling, attributing it to the unfamiliarity of our surroundings. The first night passed uneventfully, but a subtle shift in the atmosphere lingered as dawn painted the sky with hues of pink and gold. We decided to explore the surroundings during the day, hoping the sunlight would dispel the lingering unease. The forest, though enchanting in the daylight, felt like a labyrinth of towering trees that whispered secrets to the wind. We stumbled upon an abandoned cemetery, its moss-covered gravestones standing as silent witnesses to the passage of time. As evening approached, the atmosphere grew increasingly tense. A strange sensation of being watched plagued our every move. Unseen eyes seemed to follow us, and distant whispers echoed through the trees. We tried to dismiss it as imagination, but the feeling persisted. That night, the cabin seemed to groan with a weight unknown, and the creaks and moans mirrored the unsettling rhythm of our hearts. A peculiar dream haunted my sleep, a shadowy figure moving through the trees, beckoning me into the depths of the forest. The dream was so vivid that, upon waking, the boundary between reality and the dream world blurred. The cabin felt different, as if the walls held secrets that begged to be unraveled. Our attempts to leave were thwarted by an unexplained force. The car, once obedient to our commands, now refused to start. Panic set in as the realization dawned that we were trapped in the embrace of the forest, with no clear escape from the invisible clutches that bound us. Each attempt to communicate with the outside world failed, as if the cabin existed in a pocket dimension untouched by the laws of the living. As the days passed, our group unraveled like the frayed edges of a worn tapestry. Whispers turned into audible voices, and shadows materialized into sinister figures that danced at the periphery of our vision. The once welcoming fire now cast ominous silhouettes that seemed to mock our desperate attempts to maintain sanity. In the dead of night, the forest itself seemed to come alive. Trees swayed in a spectral dance, and the wind carried with it mournful howls that echoed the agony of forgotten souls. We huddled together, a shattered semblance of the carefree group that had entered the woods with hopeful hearts. In the final throes of our ordeal, a spectral figure materialized within the cabin. Its hollow eyes bore into our souls, and a voice, ancient and sorrow-laden, whispered secrets of a tragic past. The forest, it seemed, held the memories of those long gone, and we, unwitting trespassers, had become entangled in a tale of betrayal, loss, and eternal longing. With a surge of otherworldly force, the figure vanished, leaving us in a cabin tainted by the weight of unresolved grievances. The first light of dawn brought an eerie calm, and as if released from an invisible grip, the cabin allowed us to leave. The once defiant car roared to life, and we sped away from the haunted haven, leaving behind the spectral whispers of the ancient forest. To this day, the memories of that vacation horror story linger, etched in the recesses of our minds. The forest, with its timeless secrets, continues to whisper to those who dare to listen, a cautionary tale of the thin veil between the living and the echoes of the past that resonate in the heart of nature's embrace. Story 2. The crisp sea breeze carried whispers of adventure as my friends and I arrived at the seemingly idyllic beachfront cottage. The salty air and the rhythmic crash of waves promised a vacation of sun-soaked days and carefree nights. Little did we know, the ocean held secrets darker than its depths, and our vacation would soon descend into a nightmare woven from the threads of the supernatural. The cottage, perched on the edge of a cliff, offered a breathtaking view of the moonlit ocean. The first night unfolded with laughter around a bonfire on the sandy shore. As we shared stories and toasted to our escapade, the shadows seemed to grow thicker, creeping ever so slightly closer, casting an ominous pallor over the revelry. On the second day, strange occurrences hinted at an unseen presence. Objects shifted when unobserved, and faint whispers echoed through the cottage walls. We dismissed these oddities as mere quirks, attributing them to the charm of an old seaside dwelling. The sun dipped below the horizon, and the crimson hues of twilight painted the sky as we settled into a night of ghost stories. The tale of a vengeful sea spirit caught our imagination. Legend spoke of a siren who, scorned by a lover, haunted the shores, luring unsuspecting souls into the abyss. We laughed off the superstition, dismissing it as the fanciful lore of a coastal town. Little did we know, the vengeful spirit may have been listening, its ethereal form stirred by our mockery. As night fell, a dense fog enveloped the cottage, shrouding it in an otherworldly mist. The air turned cold, and the once inviting waves seemed to harbor malevolence. A distant, mournful wail echoed through the night, sending shivers down our spines. The mood shifted, and the flickering candlelight cast elongated shadows that danced with spectral glee. That night, our dreams became distorted landscapes of watery graves and ghostly figures beckoning from the abyss. Each of us awoke with a sense of foreboding, the residue of nightmares clinging to our waking minds. Unsettling as it was, we hesitated to voice our fears, fearing the confirmation of an inexplicable dread that loomed over us. The following day, the ocean, once inviting, now roared with the ferocity that mirrored our growing trepidation. Dark clouds gathered overhead, and the cottage seemed to groan under the weight of an unseen force. The air became charged with an energy that hinted at the supernatural, as if the very atmosphere resonated with the secrets the sea refused to divulge. As daylight waned, we discovered an old journal tucked away in a dusty corner of the cottage. Its pages, weathered and stained, revealed the harrowing experiences of previous occupants who had encountered the vengeful spirit. Skepticism gave way to a chilling realization as we read first-hand accounts of unexplainable phenomena, dreams invaded by the spirit's haunting melody, and disappearances that left behind only whispers in the salty air. Desperation clawed at us as the supernatural occurrences escalated. Doors creaked open of their own accord, and the once serene cottage echoed with the pained cries of a ghostly lament. Attempts to leave were thwarted by an unseen force, trapping us in a seaside purgatory where the line between the living and the spectral blurred. In the dead of night, the vengeful spirit revealed itself, a luminous figure on the water's edge. Its eyes gleamed with the anguish of a love betrayed, and an otherworldly melody filled the air. Each haunting note wove a tapestry of sorrow that ensnared our senses, rendering us helpless against the pull of the ocean's depths. One by one, my friends succumbed to the allure, drawn into the sea by an unseen force. I, left alone, witnessed their spectral forms meld with the watery abyss. The vengeful spirit turned its gaze toward me, its mournful eyes piercing my soul. In that moment, the truth echoed through my being. The cottage was a gateway to a realm where love and betrayal lingered like salt in the sea air. With a final, anguished cry, the spirit dissipated into the night, leaving behind an empty cottage and the haunting memory of a vacation gone awry. As dawn broke, the once turbulent sea returned to a serene embrace, as if erasing all evidence of the supernatural maelstrom that had unfolded on its shores. I stumbled out of the cottage, the weight of grief and loss heavy on my heart. The sun, rising with indifferent brilliance, cast long shadows that whispered of the secrets hidden beneath the surface. The ocean, serene once more, held its mysteries close, as if guarding the tales of love, betrayal, and the vengeful spirit that lingered in the haunted echoes of a vacation horror story. Story 3. The old inn stood alone on the edge of a cliff, overlooking a desolate beach. Its weathered facade hinted at decades of stories whispered by the winds that swept through the hollow spaces between the creaking floorboards. It was an unconventional choice for a vacation, but my friends and I sought adventure beyond the typical tourist destinations. Upon entering the inn, an unsettling chill clung to the air. The receptionist, a woman with hollow eyes, handed us the rusty keys to our rooms, her voice a low murmur that seemed to echo in the empty lobby. As we ascended the narrow staircase, the floor groaned beneath our weight, and a sense of unease settled over us like a shroud. Night fell swiftly, and the inn transformed into a realm of shadows. The moon cast a pallid glow, revealing the peeling wallpaper and faded portraits that adorned the walls. In the flickering candlelight, we gathered in the common room, where the unsettling aroma of old books lingered. It was there that we discovered a collection of journals, each chronicling the experiences of those who had ventured into the inn before us. The entries spoke of mysterious footsteps echoing through empty halls, doors that refused to stay closed, and eerie whispers that haunted the stillness of the night. Skepticism shrouded our excitement as we read, dismissing the tales as the exaggerations of overactive imaginations. Little did we know, the inn had a way of turning skeptics into believers. As the clock struck midnight, a dissonant melody echoed through the corridors. It was a haunting tune that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. We followed the ghostly notes, drawn to a hidden doorway concealed behind a tattered tapestry. With trepidation, we pushed the door open, revealing a hidden chamber bathed in an ethereal light. In the center of the room stood an ancient piano, its keys worn and weathered. The melody continued, played by unseen hands. The air grew heavy with the weight of an unseen presence, and the flickering candles cast dancing shadows that seemed to come alive. The room pulsed with an otherworldly energy, and a voice, long forgotten, whispered fragments of a tragic tale. The piano played on its own accord, a lament for a love lost to the unforgiving hands of time. As we listened, a ghostly apparition materialized before us, a woman in a flowing gown, her eyes reflecting the sorrow of a bygone era. She was the mistress of the inn, betrayed and abandoned, forever bound to the ethereal realm that intersected with our own. Her tale unfolded like a spectral play, each note of the piano punctuating the agony of her heart. The inn, it seemed, had become a purgatory for lost souls, and we were unwitting witnesses to the tragic drama that unfolded within its walls. The mistress, driven by an insatiable yearning, implored us to help her find closure, to unearth the truth that had been buried in the sands of time. Driven by a strange mixture of fear and empathy, we delved into the mysteries of the inn. Secret passages revealed themselves, and the echoes of forgotten footsteps guided us through the labyrinthine corridors. Each revelation deepened the connection between the living and the spectral, blurring the boundaries of reality. As we unraveled the threads of the mistress's story, the inn itself seemed to rebel against our intrusion. Doors slammed shut, trapping us in endless loops of twisted hallways. Whispers grew into anguished cries, and the very foundation of the inn quivered with a malevolent force that sought to protect the secrets buried within its walls. In the final act of our haunted vacation, we discovered a hidden chamber beneath the inn, a mausoleum of memories where the mistress's love lay entombed. As we unearthed the truth, a tempest of emotions erupted. The mistress's sorrow manifested in a whirlwind of spectral energy. The piano played its final mournful note, and with it, the ethereal chamber crumbled, burying the tragic tale in the depths of the inn. As dawn broke, the inn returned to a facade of normalcy, as if the spectral drama had never unfolded. We, however, carried the weight of the haunted vacation with us, forever changed by the encounters with the otherworldly. The old inn, perched on the cliff's edge, stood as a silent witness to the ephemeral nature of time and the lingering echoes of a love that transcended the boundaries between life and the afterlife. Story 4. The quaint town of Ravenshadow beckoned to us like a whispered promise of an unforgettable vacation. Nestled deep within the mountains, its cobblestone streets and centuries-old architecture spoke of a history steeped in mystery. Little did my friends and I know that our journey into Ravenshadow would unravel a horror story etched in the ancient stones and shadows that clung to its very core. Our chosen abode, the Raven's Rest Inn, exuded an eerie charm. The building loomed tall, its time-worn exterior adorned with gargoyles that seemed to peer into the depths of our souls. The innkeeper, an elderly man with sunken eyes, greeted us with a nod that carried the weight of unspoken secrets. As we settled into our rooms, the air felt heavy with a kind of stillness that set the stage for the nightmares that would soon unfold. The first night passed without incident, but an unsettling fog crept in as the sun dipped below the horizon on the second evening. We roamed the dimly lit streets, guided only by the flickering glow of gas lamps. Shadows clung to the corners, and distant whispers echoed through the narrow alleys. The town, it seemed, had a heartbeat of its own, a rhythmic pulse that synchronized with the palpitations of our growing unease. In the heart of Ravenshadow, we stumbled upon an ancient cemetery, its tombstones weathered by time. The air grew colder as we delved deeper into its depths, and the moon cast an ethereal glow on the moss-covered statues that stood sentinel over the forgotten graves. A sense of foreboding settled upon us, but the thrill of the macabre spurred us forward. As we meandered through the graveyard, the distant echoes of a haunting melody reached our ears. The source, a dilapidated mausoleum, beckoned to us like a siren's call. The heavy door creaked open, revealing an otherworldly scene. A grand piano, untouched by decay, played a mournful tune on its own accord. The room pulsed with an inexplicable energy, and the temperature dropped to a bone-chilling cold. A figure materialized before us, draped in a tattered gown, her hair cascading like midnight. The Lady of Shadows, as the town's folklore named her, was said to be the spirit of a cursed woman who once lived in Ravenshadow. The melody she played echoed the tragedy of her forsaken love, a tale that echoed through the ages. As the last note hung in the air, the Lady of Shadows turned her ghostly gaze toward us, her eyes reflecting centuries of sorrow. A voice, ethereal and mournful, spoke through her. "You have awakened the curse," she whispered. The town, it seemed, held memories of betrayal and retribution, and our unwitting intrusion had set in motion a series of events that would bind us to the Lady of Shadows and the haunted legacy of Ravenshadow. That night, our dreams became a surreal tapestry woven with fragments of the cursed love story. We awoke to find the inn cloaked in an otherworldly glow. The Lady of Shadows, a specter of anguish, drifted through the halls, her presence a harbinger of doom. Doors slammed shut, trapping us in a nightmare that transcended the boundaries between the living and the supernatural. Attempts to escape the inn proved futile, as if the very walls conspired to keep us ensnared in the spectral grip of Ravenshadow's curse. Whispers echoed through the corridors, recounting tales of treachery and heartbreak. The town itself seemed to come alive, its ancient stones resonating with the weight of forgotten sins. As the curse tightened its grip, the Lady of Shadows beseeched us to uncover the truth that lay buried in the annals of Ravenshadow's history. Each step led us deeper into the labyrinth of the past, where dark secrets and forbidden love clashed in a tragic dance. The townsfolk, bound by the curse, became spectral witnesses to the unfolding drama. In the heart of Ravenshadow, we discovered an ancient diary that chronicled the doomed love affair that birthed the curse. The pages told of a forbidden romance, a betrayal that left the Lady of Shadows forsaken and condemned to an eternity of sorrow. The curse, it seemed, sought justice for a love lost to the cruel hands of fate. Armed with the truth, we faced the Lady of Shadows in a final spectral confrontation. The room pulsed with a supernatural energy as the curse reached its crescendo. With a mournful wail, the Lady of Shadows dissipated into the ethereal mist, her anguished spirit finally finding release. As dawn broke, Raven Shadow returned to a semblance of tranquility. The fog that had shrouded the town lifted, and the air felt lighter, as if the weight of centuries had been lifted. The inn, once a bastion of spectral horror, stood silent and empty, its haunted legacy fading into the recesses of memory. We departed Raven Shadow with a mixture of relief and melancholy. The ancient town, forever marked by the echoes of a tragic love story, receded in the distance. The Lady of Shadows, though freed from her spectral prison, lingered in the corners of our minds, a haunting reminder that some curses once awakened leave an indelible mark on the souls of those who dare to tread into the realm of vacation horror. Story 5. The dilapidated mansion stood at the edge of the mist-covered forest, its imposing structure exuding an unsettling aura. It was a last-minute vacation decision, a spontaneous desire for adventure that led my friends and me to the mysterious town of Whispering Pines. Little did we know that our pursuit of excitement would plunge us into a nightmarish tale woven into the very fabric of the forsaken mansion. The town, veiled in perpetual fog, seemed frozen in time. The locals spoke in hushed tones, their eyes haunted by secrets too dark to share. Whispers of a cursed mansion that devoured the souls of those who dared enter reached our ears. But our bravado dismissed them as the exaggerated tales of a superstitious town. The mansion, known as Blackwood Manor, loomed in the moonlit night like a brooding sentinel. Its windows, shattered and vacant, stared into the void. As we stepped through the creaking gate, the air turned palpably cold, and the mist clung to us like a spectral shroud. The door, half ajar, beckoned us inside with a low groan, as if it welcomed fresh souls to join the chorus of the damned. The grand foyer, adorned with faded tapestries, echoed with each cautious footstep. Dust danced in the dim light filtering through cracked windows. A pervasive silence hung in the air, broken only by the distant howl of an unseen creature. A flickering candle on a dusty table drew our attention, its wavering flame casting unsettling shadows on the walls. A sudden chill gripped the room as the door creaked shut behind us, sealing our fate within the mansion's malevolent embrace. Panic fluttered in our chests, but the thrill of the unknown spurred us forward. As we explored the mansion's dilapidated corridors, each room unfolded like a chapter in a ghost story. In the library, ancient tomes hinted at forgotten rituals and unspeakable horrors. The ballroom, frozen in time, echoed with spectral laughter that seemed to reverberate through the very walls. Our footsteps faltered as we stumbled upon a gallery of portraits, faces frozen in expressions of terror, their eyes pleading for release from the cursed canvas. As the night deepened, a spectral presence made itself known. Whispers, barely audible, urged us to leave, warning of an impending doom that clung to the mansion like a vengeful specter. Dismissing the warnings as figments of an overactive imagination, we pressed on, determined to unravel the mysteries that bound Blackwood Manor in a web of malevolence. In the heart of the mansion, we discovered a forgotten chamber, its entrance concealed behind a tapestry. A spiral staircase led us into a dimly lit crypt, where the air felt thick with the weight of ancient secrets. The crypt, adorned with dusty coffins, told a tale of a cursed bloodline and a pact forged in desperation. As we delved deeper, a name echoed through the chamber: Elara Blackwood, the heiress to the cursed legacy. Legends spoke of her tragic fate, a love betrayed, and a soul condemned to wander the mansion in eternal anguish. The crypt seemed to pulse with a spectral energy, as if Alara herself were guiding us through the labyrinth of her tortured existence. A mournful melody, played by unseen hands on a long-forgotten piano, filled the crypt. The notes hung in the air, resonating with the anguish of a broken heart. Alara's ghost materialized before us, her eyes mirroring the sorrow that clung to her spectral form. She implored us to break the curse that bound her, revealing the key to salvation, a forgotten relic hidden in the darkest recesses of the mansion. The relic, an ancient amulet, held the power to sever the ties that bound Alara's spirit to Blackwood Manor. As we ventured into the mansion's depths, the malevolent force that guarded the amulet sought to thwart our every move. Doors slammed shut, and the walls seemed to close in, as if the very mansion itself conspired to keep us from breaking the curse. In the final act of our nightmarish journey, we stood before the chamber that housed the amulet. The air crackled with a supernatural energy, and the temperature plummeted to an unnatural cold. Whispers, now desperate, echoed through the walls, pleading for release. With trembling hands, I grasped the amulet, and as its ancient power surged through me, the mansion convulsed in a symphony of otherworldly torment. Alara's ghost, bathed in a blinding light, ascended into the ethereal realm, leaving behind a mansion reclaimed by the silence of the night. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the mist that veiled Whispering Pines dispersed, revealing a town reborn from the shadows of its haunted past. As we stepped out into the pre-dawn light, the dilapidated mansion stood silent behind us, its secrets buried with the departed. The once fog-shrouded town of Whispering Pines felt cleansed, as if the curse that bound it had finally been lifted. Our spontaneous vacation had become a harrowing journey into the supernatural, a tale of curses and redemption, etched into the time-worn walls of Blackwood Manor. Story 6. The island of Isolus, nestled in the heart of a forgotten archipelago, seemed like an oasis of tranquility on the glossy travel brochure. Its pristine beaches, lush jungles, and the promise of seclusion lured my friends and me into the perfect vacation. Little did we know that our dream getaway would unravel into a nightmare, woven with the threads of a malevolent force that gripped the island. Upon arrival, the island embraced us with warmth and beauty. Azure waters lapped against the ivory sands, and the vibrant foliage of the jungle whispered tales of exotic creatures. Our chosen accommodation, an isolated villa nestled in the heart of the jungle, promised an escape from the chaos of the outside world. The first few days were idyllic, filled with lazy afternoons on the sun-kissed beaches and adventurous hikes through the untamed wilderness. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the villa transformed into a sanctuary where laughter echoed against the tropical backdrop. However, as the night settled in, a subtle unease crept into the air. It began with whispers, soft, indistinct murmurings that rustled through the jungle breeze. At first, we dismissed them as the symphony of a nocturnal paradise, but the whispers grew insistent, coalescing into a melody that wove through the tendrils of our dreams. Each night, a haunting tune echoed in the depths of our minds, a siren's call that beckoned us into the heart of the jungle. Curiosity and a strange compulsion led us to follow the mysterious melody. The jungle, once vibrant and welcoming, now felt alive with an unseen presence. Trees seemed to watch us with silent judgment, and the foliage whispered secrets that eluded comprehension. The melody guided us deeper into the wilderness, a labyrinth of shadows and shifting illusions. As we ventured further, the air thickened with an oppressive energy. Strange symbols, etched into the trees, marked our path like cryptic sigils. The jungle itself seemed to warp, becoming a living entity that responded to the haunting melody that permeated the night. The once familiar trails twisted and turned, leading us into the heart of an ancient ritual ground. In the clearing, bathed in the silvery light of the moon, we discovered an abandoned temple. Its weathered stones told a story of a forgotten civilization, and an altar, adorned with wilting flowers, stood as a testament to rituals that defied the passage of time. The haunting melody reached a crescendo, and our surroundings blurred, as if veiled by an otherworldly force. A spectral figure materialized before us, a guardian of the island's ancient secrets. Hollow eyes fixated on our trembling forms, and a voice, both ethereal and commanding, spoke of a curse that bound Isolus. The island, it seemed, held the remnants of a forgotten civilization, and the haunting melody was the lament of lost souls trapped in a cycle of supernatural torment. The guardian revealed that we had unwittingly become conduits for the island's malevolent force, drawn into a ritual that sought to perpetuate the curse. Our very presence fueled the haunting melody, and unless we broke free from its grasp, Isolus would forever remain ensnared in the shadows of an ancient tragedy. Desperation and fear clawed at our hearts as the guardian instructed us on the ritual to break the curse. We had to venture into the heart of the jungle at midnight, carrying an amulet blessed by the spirits that once guarded the island. The amulet, a key to unlocking the spectral chains, held the power to sever our connection to the haunting melody. The night of the ritual arrived, and the jungle seemed to pulsate with an ominous energy. Armed with the amulet, we trekked into the depths, guided by the ethereal melody that echoed through the foliage. The path twisted and turned, and the jungle, now a labyrinth of phantasmal illusions, tested our resolve. As midnight approached, we reached the sacred site where the curse originated. The guardian's voice, carried by the wind, urged us to perform the ritual. The haunting melody intensified, surrounding us like an invisible shroud. With trembling hands, we raised the amulet and chanted the incantation that would break the ancient curse. A sudden gust of wind swept through the clearing, extinguishing the candles that adorned the temple's altar. The haunting melody shattered into dissonant notes, and the jungle fell silent. A weight lifted from our shoulders as if the island itself sighed in relief. In the aftermath of the ritual, the jungle transformed. The symbols etched into the trees faded, and the spectral figure of the guardian dissolved into the night. Isolus, once gripped by the curse, revealed its true beauty. The haunting melody, now a distant echo, lingered in the ocean breeze, a reminder of the supernatural ordeal that had tested our sanity. As the first light of dawn painted the horizon, we left the island of Isolus behind. The once pristine beaches and lush jungles now held the memory of a vacation that transcended the boundaries of reality. The haunting melody, though silenced, whispered in the wind, carrying with it the secrets of an ancient curse that, for a brief moment, had entwined our fates with the supernatural. Story 7. The invitation to Moonlight Manor arrived mysteriously in our mailbox, an ornate letter sealed with black wax and adorned with a waxing crescent moon. It promised an exclusive, otherworldly vacation experience. Intrigued and lured by the promise of an escape from reality, my friends and I embarked on a journey that would plunge us into the shadows of a nightmarish ordeal. Moonlight Manor, perched atop a desolate hill, seemed like a relic from a bygone era. Its imposing silhouette against the full moon gave it an eerie grandeur. The air, thick with a sense of foreboding, embraced us as we ascended the grand staircase that led to the entrance. The heavy door creaked open as if propelled by unseen hands, beckoning us into the depths of the mansion's secrets. Inside, the air was stagnant, carrying with it the musty scent of antiquity. Dimly lit hallways stretched in all directions, adorned with portraits of faces that seemed to follow our every move. The flickering candlelight cast elongated shadows that danced on the walls like spectral phantoms. Moonlight Manor was more than a vacation destination. It was a living, breathing entity, and we were but pawns in its malevolent game. As the night fell, the mansion seemed to come alive with whispered secrets and distant echoes. The rooms, adorned with antique furniture draped in dusty sheets, bore witness to a history steeped in darkness. Yet, curiosity outweighed trepidation. and we ventured deeper into the labyrinthine halls. In the grand ballroom, a dissonant melody echoed, an ethereal piano playing a haunting tune that seemed to emanate from the very walls. The once gilded room now lay in decay, the chandeliers swaying as if in rhythm with the spectral notes. The melody, a lament for forgotten souls, reverberated through the corridors, weaving a tapestry of melancholy that clung to the air. As the night progressed, the mansion's supernatural nature became increasingly apparent. Doors slammed shut behind us, trapping us in ever-changing mazes of opulent despair. The portraits lining the walls twisted into grotesque contortions, their eyes now filled with malice. Whispers, carried by an otherworldly wind, spoke of ancient curses and souls trapped within the mansion's embrace. In our quest to unravel the mysteries, we stumbled upon a forgotten library, a chamber filled with dusty tomes and arcane manuscripts. One particular book, bound in tattered leather, spoke of Moonlight Manor's sinister legacy. The mansion, it seemed, was a nexus of supernatural energies, a place where the veil between the living and the dead was thin, and those who entered risked becoming prisoners of the spectral realm. The book hinted at a ritual, a dark ceremony performed by the mansion's enigmatic owners centuries ago. The ceremony bound the souls of the living to the mansion, forever entwining their fates with the echoes of the past. To break the curse, we had to navigate a series of cryptic challenges that led to the heart of the ritual chamber, hidden deep within the manor. As we faced each challenge, the mansion resisted our intrusion with increasing hostility. Phantom figures materialized in the hallways, their mournful gazes pleading for release. The dissonant melody reached a crescendo, becoming a symphony of despair that echoed through the very foundations of Moonlight Manor. In the final act of our supernatural odyssey, we entered the ritual chamber, a place cloaked in an otherworldly glow. An altar, adorned with symbols and surrounded by flickering candles, stood as the focal point of the cursed ceremony. The dissonant melody now melded with the agonized wails of tormented souls. With trepidation, we followed the guidance of the ancient manuscript, performing the ritual that would shatter the chains binding the mansion to the spectral realm. Candles flickered wildly, and the air became charged with an electric energy. The very fabric of reality seemed to warp as we recited the incantation that would sever the ties between the living and the haunted echoes of Moonlight Manor. As the ritual reached its zenith, the mansion convulsed in a cataclysmic release of supernatural energy. The dissonant melody twisted into a cacophony of tortured screams, and the very walls seemed to weep tears of liquid moonlight. A blinding light enveloped us, and for a fleeting moment, the spectral realm and the living world collided. When the light subsided, we found ourselves standing in the now silent ballroom of Moonlight Manor. The haunting melody had ceased, replaced by an eerie stillness. The once dilapidated grandeur of the mansion remained, but the malevolence that had clung to its every corner had dissipated. The first light of dawn filtered through the dusty windows, casting a serene glow on the once ominous surroundings. As we stepped out into the morning air, Moonlight Manor stood silent, a relic of a haunted past now liberated from the shackles of its cursed legacy. Our journey, though harrowing, had lifted the veil of darkness that enshrouded the mansion. The cryptic challenges, the dissonant melody, and the spectral figures had all been part of a twisted tapestry, woven by the supernatural forces that held Moonlight Manor captive. With a mixture of relief and trepidation, we left the mansion behind, its secrets buried in the whispers of the past. Moonlight Manor, once a beacon of malevolence, faded into the distance as we departed. The memory of our vacation horror story lingered, etched into the recesses of our minds. The spectral echoes of Moonlight Manor's haunted past were now silent, a testament to our journey through the shadows and our triumphant escape from the clutches of the supernatural. Story 8. The island of Ashen Shores beckoned with promises of pristine beaches and azure waters, an untouched paradise hidden from the prying eyes of the world. Intrigued by the allure of seclusion and adventure, my friends and I embarked on a journey that would transform our dream vacation into a chilling nightmare, etched in the sands of ashen shores. The journey began smoothly as our boat cut through the cerulean waters, leaving the mainland behind. Ashen shores loomed on the horizon, a serene silhouette basking in the warm embrace of the tropical sun. The air, heavy with the scent of salt and anticipation, carried whispers of the untold mysteries that awaited us. Our chosen accommodation, a rustic beachfront cottage nestled in the heart of the island, promised an escape from the hustle of everyday life. As we settled in, the charm of the island unfolded. The rhythmic lullaby of the waves, the rustle of palm leaves in the breeze, and the vibrant hues of the sunset that painted the sky in fiery strokes. The first night passed uneventfully as we reveled in the tranquility of ashen shores. However, with the arrival of darkness, an unsettling quiet settled over the island. The waves, once soothing, now murmured with an undertone of menace. As the moon ascended, casting an eerie glow on the sands, the atmosphere took a sinister turn. Strange occurrences marked the second night. Shadows danced along the periphery of our vision, vanishing when we turned to face them. Footsteps echoed through the cottage when no one moved, and hushed whispers lingered in the air like ghostly remnants of a conversation long past. We attributed these oddities to the island's mystique, dismissing them as the quirks of a remote paradise. Yet, as the days unfolded, the unsettling phenomena escalated. Objects shifted when unobserved, and the air thickened with an unspoken tension. The beach, once a haven of tranquility, now felt like the stage for a macabre play. Figures, glimpsed in the peripheral haze, vanished when we approached. The island seemed to harbor secrets, whispers that curled around the edges of our sanity. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, we gathered around a bonfire on the beach. The flames flickered in sync with the rhythmic tide, casting shadows that danced with spectral abandon. The air turned colder, and the laughter that had once resonated through the night took on a hollow timbre. A local fisherman, weathered and silent, approached our group. His eyes, filled with ancient knowing, stared into our souls. In a hushed voice, he spoke of a curse that clung to ashen shores, a tale of an ancient burial ground disturbed by unwitting visitors. Skepticism flickered in our gazes, but the unease that had nestled in our hearts refused to dissipate. That night, the beachfront cottage transformed into a battleground between the living and the supernatural. Whispers grew into anguished cries that echoed through the halls. Shadows materialized into spectral figures that stood at the threshold of our perception, their eyes gleaming with an otherworldly malevolence. Sleep became elusive as nightmares invaded our dreams. Visions of a forgotten past played out, a tale of betrayal, revenge, and souls condemned to wander the shores in eternal torment. Each night, the boundaries between reality and the spectral realm blurred, as if the very fabric of ashen shores conspired to reveal its haunted history. In a desperate quest for answers, we sought the guidance of the fisherman who had spoken of the curse. His weathered face bore the weight of generations, and his eyes reflected the sorrow of one intimately acquainted with the supernatural forces that gripped the island. He implored us to break the curse, revealing that an ancient artifact, hidden in the heart of the island, held the key to salvation. Guided by the fisherman's cryptic instructions, we ventured into the jungle that cloaked the island's core. The air thickened with an oppressive energy, and the foliage seemed to close in, as if the very jungle itself sought to keep us from uncovering the secrets that lay hidden within its depths. After hours of navigating the labyrinthine paths, we stumbled upon an ancient temple, a forgotten relic obscured by centuries of growth. Its crumbling facade told a tale of a bygone civilization and the curse that lingered like a shadow. The artifact, a mystical talisman, rested on an altar bathed in an ethereal glow. As we approached the artifact, the air resonated with the anguished cries of the island's spectral inhabitants. Shadows coalesced into ethereal forms that writhed in anticipation. With a mixture of trepidation and determination, I reached for the talisman, its surface cool to the touch. The moment the talisman left the altar, the island convulsed in a spectral symphony. The ground trembled beneath our feet, and the jungle seemed to recoil in protest. The anguished cries crescendoed, reaching a haunting climax that reverberated through the very soul of Ashen Shores. With the talisman in hand, we retraced our steps, pursued by the unseen forces that sought to thwart our quest for redemption. The air became charged with an otherworldly energy, and the moon hung low, casting long shadows that whispered tales of the island's haunted past. As we returned to the beachfront cottage, the atmosphere shifted. The whispers that had haunted us turned into sighs of release, and the spectral figures that had prowled the periphery melted into the moonlit mist. The talisman, a beacon of salvation, had broken the curse that shackled Ashen Shores to a history of betrayal and sorrow. With the first light of dawn, we stood on the beach, the talisman returning to the sands where the ancient burial ground lay undisturbed. Ashen Shores, once a realm of haunting nightmares, embraced the warmth of the morning sun. The waves, now a gentle lullaby, seemed to carry with them the echoes of spirits finding peace. As we boarded the boat to leave Ashen Shores behind, the island stood serene, its secrets buried beneath layers of history and redemption. The fisherman, his eyes reflecting a newfound hope, bid us farewell. The nightmare that had gripped our dream vacation faded in the distance, leaving behind the memory of a haunting journey into the supernatural heart of Ashen Shores.